The general area that we suspected of being in. First, forward, please, start.
The reason that we have submitted these conditions in the grant is because we are concerned about what appear to be some conflicts of interest. We have not determined officially that there are, and rather than to make some harsh decisions at this point or to remove anybody from a committee or a council or a board, we are examining those situations in DCA.
Well, as a member of the DCA board and paid director of the credit union, would such a person be in conflict of interest?
It's possible. We are examining that.
If you find that is a conflict of interest, what will you do about it?
We will request of the agency to remove the conflict of interest.
Well, I think that we can be pretty effective about seeing to it that the law is followed in regards to contributions and expenditures, because we can help the candidates by furnishing them with forms for them to use to make their reports, and help all candidates by assuring that the law is followed, and I think we can be pretty effective.
How quickly can you act once you find a violation?
About half an hour.
I mean, how quickly can you get an effective enforcement against this? Are we talking about months and years for this to drag through the courts?
The law provides that when these suits are filed, they are to be advanced on the docket. That generally means a hearing within 10 days.
This is the reason Dallas has the potential for a national political convention, the huge addition to the city's convention center. The addition is scheduled for completion early this fall, well before the '76 conventions, and when it is finished, officials say Dallas will have more combined facilities than in any other convention center in the country. This expansion will give Dallas a hall which can seat 25,000, the kind of building required by a national political convention. And local officials have set the wheels in motion toward inviting such a convention to come to Dallas.
This Monday at 1 o'clock, the State Democratic Executive Committee meets in Dallas. And I've already talked to the State Democratic Chairman, and he has told us he'll give us an opportunity to invite the National Democratic Party to Dallas for the 1976 convention, so we'll put the wheels in motion this weekend.
From the Republican standpoint, we have discussed this conversationally. I've discussed it with people in the city. I understand that the facilities are available. We'd be very enthusiastic about it. We'll have more informal discussions to get us into a position to make a formal bid for it.
There are reservations, however, and I'd want to be satisfied on the question of security for a political convention, whether the seating arrangements and meeting room situation would be adequate, and whether the hotel and motel space would be very sufficient. I think the people of the city of Dallas would see the possibilities insofar as great publicity advantages for the city.
If we get the appropriate invitations and the necessary financial support, I think Dallas has as good or a better chance than any city in America to land this important convention. Obviously, we're quite excited about the opportunity to invite this convention, and in coming to Dallas, it would mean in excess of $10 million in direct income to the community.
Before any national political convention comes to this building, though, several questions will have to be answered. First, is Dallas willing to cough up nearly $1 million? That's the fee the parties require for coming. There's also the question of whether or not Dallas will have enough hotel space by then. This year in Miami, for example, the Democrats will require more than 24,000 rooms. Dallas doesn't have that many right now. Another question, would the city's civic and business leadership be willing to fully support the idea of a political convention? If the answers to these questions is yes, then this building does provide Dallas with the potential for a national political convention that can be matched by few other cities. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Texas has one of the finest criminal justice planning agencies, led by Judge Joe Frazier Brown, and one of the finest programs to implement this fight to reduce crime and delinquency, which the President has poured so much money into, the Congress has poured so much money into. Texas is just doing a real good job compared to all of the other 54 jurisdictions with whom we deal. So I couldn't point to a specific problem in Texas. I'm sure there are specific problems.
Yeah, I was 12 and 16 after 16 and 12 the year before that, so it looked like a lot worse year than it was really. I didn't pitch as well at times, but of course the defense and the hitting wasn't up to what it was the year before either.
That really has to frustrate a pitcher when you think you're pitching well and you can't get the runs across for you.
Well, that's true, because the only one most of the time that knows it is yourself and your catcher and the rest of the club, and a lot of times the press and everybody else, they look at the paper and they say, well, the guy didn't do the job. It's not necessarily true, and it's most of the time not necessarily right. So it's a year to make amends. It's a year to really come along and show everybody that I am a real good pitcher.
Well, as you look around now, you've been down here for, about 3 or 4 weeks. Does it look like the club will be improved?
Certainly, I believe that we will be improved. There's no question about that, mainly because everybody's got another year under their belt, and there's a lot more experience that we have this year that we didn't have last year with Hara at short or third or wherever they're going to play him. And Nelson, of course, has got a little more experience now. And, of course, the pitchers with Broberg now, he's got a little bit more experience under his belt. Gogolewski's going to know a little bit more, and Mickey Thompson also.
You know, you look around, you got to feel like a grandfather with this bunch of kids.
Not only that, I feel like a stranger here. You know, since 1969, there's only 3 of us that made the trip north, myself, Howard, and Casey Cox.
All right, Robert, I think it's real unusual that a ball club will draft 2 guys, say 1 and 2, like they did you and Bill Thompson. So how do you feel about this?
Well, it's sort of hard to say, but as far as being with the Cowboys, I feel, real secure and what have you. And the competition is going to be pretty stiff, and I feel like we're going to put into it.
All right, if the Cowboys should ask you to try out for another position other than fullback, how do you feel about that?
Well, I've been mostly, throughout my ball years, I've been mostly running in the backfield, what have you. It would be sort of something different to me, but I don't feel like it would, affect me or what have you, because I feel like if they move me, they feel like best fit to that position.
Do you feel, say, better about being drafted number 2 by Dallas than you would, say, being drafted number 1 by another club other than, say, a Super Bowl champion?
Well, I wouldn't know exactly how to answer that question, but everybody likes to be drafted by one.
The National Black Political Convention here in Gary, Indiana, got underway amidst mass confusion. Some 10,000 delegates representing literally every state in the Union is expected to attend. However, some of the delegates feel that the convention should have been held in a city better equipped to handle a convention of this size. Then there are those who feel that this is a fitting tribute, even with the inconveniences of inadequate restaurants and motels, to Black Mayor Richard Hatcher. Some delegates are staying as far away as metropolitan Chicago. Some delegates have reservations here in Gary proper. I talked with some of those delegates.
I'm Mrs. Mary Clavon from Detroit, Michigan.
And what is your function here at the Black Caucus meeting?
Well, I'm the recording secretary for the Michigan Democratic Black Caucus.
To this point, what is your impression of the caucus?
Of the caucus or the convention?
Or the convention, excuse me.
Well, I am very pleased. When I first heard about it, I did have a little apprehension. But the more I thought about it, the more beautiful it really became to me. The fact that this many black people would come from all over the country and come together for really the first time. This means something to me.
Ms. Julia Scott Reed of the Dallas Morning News. You've been here now for, well, a day almost. What is your impression of the convention so far?
So far, Gene, it's exciting, it's confusing, it's a great group of people that are meeting here for a cause. Right now, I don't see anything but confusion, but it seems to be it's going to shape up to be a real good convention. They have a black agenda, and they said they're going to really get things done in this convention.
Some of the national notables attending this convention are presidential candidates Shirley Chisholm of New York, Congressman Charles Diggs of Michigan, Reverend Jesse Jackson, formerly of SCLC and currently heading an organization called PUSH, P-U-S-H, and from Texas, Honorables Barbara Jordan and Curtis Graves of Houston. As one conventioneer phrased it, we have cried, we have prayed, and we have boycotted. Now, through black unification, we intend to insert ourselves in the political mainstream of America. Gene McIntire for Channel 8 News on the Move in Gary, Indiana.
Not counting national and state governments, Americans depend on more than 91,000 units of government. Traditionally, this has been the men's stomping grounds. Remember the smoke-filled room. But female voters are out to change all that. Tonight at the Eastfield College campus in Mesquite, women from all over the state are gathering for the Texas Women's Political Caucus. It's a political awareness movement designed to organize women to express themselves politically. The caucus doesn't really get underway until tomorrow, when the General Assembly will elect convention officers, adopt rules, and present the bylaws of the organization. But already the women are arriving here at Eastfield, armed to the teeth with their ideologies and bearing their best persuasive manners. On the other side of the fence are members of the political action classes at Eastfield who are acting as hosts for the convention. It's their job tonight and tomorrow to make sure everything runs smoothly, and they expect to learn a lot about practical politics. With some of the experts and old hands who will be here at Eastfield, it's a sure thing they will. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move at the Eastfield College campus.
think the players are like to think of mixing up their shots against Chris. Getting her, Chris is a rhythm player. She likes to get into a groove, and her opposition usually tries to mix up their shots, get her out of the groove, force her into some errors, knowing that she is a limited player, limited to baseline play. Except that her volley is improving all the time, and I noticed last night one time she did go to the net while she put the overhead smash away. So I think in due time she will have all these shots, and she will become a more complete player.
Is she up for the match tonight with Billie Jean, any?
I think she's relaxed. I think she feels as though the pressure's on Billie Jean. Billie Jean is seated ahead of her in this tournament. She's still recognized as one of the great players in the world, and I think Chrissy feels as though she's relaxed, and I'm looking for a great match.